so that we might enter Shabbat fully deserving of this moment of breath and rest. Shabbat Shalom, Tammy.
Shabbat
This
Shalom.
is technically Nefesh Shabbat, so we are together and we're going to be doing some singing before services begin. Tovu manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov 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 u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Ya la 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 la. Hine ma tov, hine ma tov. Ya la 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 la. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, hine ma tov. La 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 la. Hine ma tov, hine ma tov. La 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 la. La la la. ילמדו עוד מלחמה, לא יישא גוי אל גוי חרב, לא ילמדו עוד מלחמה, לא יישא גוי אל גוי חרב, לא ילמדו עוד מלחמה, לא יישא גוי אל גוי חרב. We take a deep breath together. Wish each other Shabbat Shalom. If you're there with somebody else, which is always a treat. Shabbat Shalom, Tammy.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you for joining us. We're so happy to have you to share your music. And I love that I'm here with my clergy partners as well. And of course, Dan Cillian is here kind of managing us all, making sure that we all behave ourselves. So Shabbat Shalom to you, Dan and Rachel and Ryan, I think, they're all there. Shabbat Shalom. Let's begin this Shabbat by saying, La Yehudim Haita Ora. For the Jewish people, may there be light. This is going to be perhaps a theme of our service, that we may be in a moment of struggle. We may find some of these days difficult, but all of our efforts are for good. We try to hope for a future time when we are able to join together, when the light that is now streaming in our windows is a light that we can share. La Yehudim Haita Ora v'simcha. May the Jewish people experience light, experience joy together. As well. Our harmonies tonight are going to be a little experimental. We've got some exciting new technology to explore with you. Of course, we are here in person, so we'll always sing harmony all night long. We're looking forward to other harmonies as well, and for you to join us, even at home and on mute. Hopefully we're joining our voices together in spirit. L'chun ranana, come with us and join our voices together in praise. In true Nefesh Shabbat style, I offer these words as we welcome Shabbat with Lecha Dodi, welcoming one another into the service and welcoming us to the celebration, and also to the candle lighting that follows. God, you create day and night. You roll light away from the darkness. Thank you for the darkness. Without it, we could not appreciate the light. By darkness, we measure our blessings. Health by sickness, laughter by tears, riches by poverty, and freedom only by oppression. Our ancestors lit a flame that still burns in our eyes, illuminating our path through centuries of night. Teach us to light candles. A candle is small. Not far from where it burns brightly, the darkness begins to close in. But a candle lights other candles. One candle of hope, another candle of faith, candles of freedom. They all come out of the darkness. We thank you for the darkness, because through it, we can see the light. Shamor v'zachor, Shamor v'zachor, b'dibur echad, v'yishmianu el hamiluchad, Adonai echad, b'shmo echad, l'shemo tiferet. So we welcome this Shabbat with light. Welcome in our clergy partner. Shabbat Shalom, Cantor Aviva.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. It's so good to be with you again this evening. Thank you, Tammy, for being with us. Your music is such a gift. I had an opportunity to share a beautiful moment with our sisterhood earlier this week. And one of the things we talked about was candles and sharing light, and how the flame is one of the few things in this world that can give away everything that it possesses and not lose any of itself. And so I offer us this thought as we light candles this evening. What are we in this moment able to give away that will bring sweetness and light to the world and not cost us any part of ourselves? If we approach this situation and this world with patience and compassion and kindness, I truly believe that we will have the opportunity to bring light to those in need, and will therefore reflect light back on ourselves. So with that intention in mind, I invite you to get your candles if you have them. Got mine here. And we will light together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו להדליק נר של שבת. Shabbat Shalom. Once a month, we gather together as a community for Nefesh Shabbat. While this has become one of our favorite traditions, where we gather in the social hall, all on the same level in the round, we welcome guest artists and prayer leaders into our midst. I think it is so important for us to acknowledge what the word Nefesh means and why we began coming together like this in the first place. Nefesh Shabbat, or Shabbat of the soul, intentionally pushes us to take a deep breath. We all, in this moment, need a collective deep breath. Whether it is a breath from the barrage of emails and social media, or a breath from the needs of family, or even just a breath from fear of the unknown. Nefesh Shabbat encourages us to welcome in what the Torah describes as Ruach Elohim, the wind of God, to take a deep breath into our lungs and truly and mindfully sit in the place that we are in. In this moment, we sit together not only in all of our own homes, in all of our own spaces, but we sit together in Shabbat. That our people knew just how necessary it would be for us to have a built-in break in our lives, that it's designed specifically for this exact moment. So as we welcome Shabbat and we offer the words of the Kiddush together, we keep in mind the intentionality that comes with that deep breath as we enjoy Nefesh Shabbat together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddeshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron l'maaseh v'reshit ki hu yom techila l'mikra'ei kodesh zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon Hinchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. L'chaim. With our introduction and our deep breath, we have fed and quieted our soul. With our sip of sweet wine, we have fed and quieted our body. It is with the words of the Shema that we have the opportunity to feed and quiet our mind. I invite you to close your eyes and experience the moment of these words that have kept our people feeling protected and resilient for thousands of years. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Shem kevod malchuto leolam vaed.
The Ve'ahavta, connected so intricately to the Shema, reminds us of these words, and you shall love. But who are we to dictate love? You shall speak them diligently, and we only hear gently, and not the command. For who are we to ask diligence? With all your heart, your soul, your strength. But where is my strength? Not to speak of my soul, they are in my heart. My soul and my strength, it's my heart. It's my heart that hears and sings and loves. Don't ask me for my heart, for it is everything I have. And then again, maybe that is the point. Not a command, but cause and effect. When life is meaningful, the Shekhinah hovering overhead, and my relationships are rich and free, and my heart is open. And then I will love, not because it is commanded, but because it is felt. And I will speak diligently, my gentleness filled with urgency, with all my heart, my soul, and my strength. I feel it. And it is there, like the Shekhinah hovering overhead. Not a command, but a call. My words are simply my reply.
There is simply no greater surprise than that this is it. This is the world that we live in, no better and no worse, just this. Where the impossibly contradictory happens, where people are endlessly kind and hopelessly cruel to one another. Where the amount of tasks set to each day is more than we could ever hope to accomplish. Where the consequences are dire and unexpected and unknowable and unpredictable. Where everything is in our hands and yet we are utterly helpless. Where the world can stop. And our favorite celebrities, even they are stuck at home. Our friends are stuck at home. Our kids are stuck at home. And where we can't see each other, but we spend more time together than we ever have before. Families simultaneously separated and brought together. And so I'm going to say it. This world is ridiculous, absurd. How could this possibly be? This combination of atoms, people, and countries, who could possibly have thought up such a wondrous and beautiful place? Designed by accident, this bizarre, designed or by accident, this bizarre sphere of stuff and happenings. Who is like you? Who is like you? Ba'elim Adonai mi kamocha na'edar ba'kodesh nora tehilo osei fele nora tehilo Osei fele nichamocha ba'elim Adonai mikamocha nedar bako And I pray for silence, for that sweet moment before and after the place preceding arrival, when anticipation is so complete that there is no longer a need to get there. You're already here. The hardest music, they say, to play is what comes between the notes, that quiet that speaks volumes, that rages and rises up from the source of living, the source of blessing, and reaches everyone at the same time. It travels faster than the speed of sound, faster than light, brightens up the room, the space, the moment, blooms into an offering, a gift, an Amidah, that moment of quiet, that moment of peace. And so we continue with a moment of silent prayer.
That's so wonderful to hear. In case you didn't catch it at the beginning, as a moment of our silent prayer, we wanted to offer you words, music from the incoming cantorial class at HUC. That's our seminary. And of course, these students right now are having a very different experience, their first moments towards the cantorate, rabbinate, their education, their educator training. And even those destined to become communal service professionals, all of them are exploring this idea of being a professional Jewish person under very different circumstances. And it's been very moving to see what they have released, including that. And Rabbi Fox, thank you so much for sharing that with us. As a moment of prayer, we might offer together the words, may the words of my mouth, the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, O God, my rock and my redeemer. Amen. We now turn to a moment of prayer for those in our community in need of healing. We've prepared another video to show you, and this one will hopefully strengthen us in our individual search for strength and healing. I want to mention before we do this two things. First of all, there are those specific members of our community who we'd like to keep in the forefront of our mind as we pray. And so I'd invite you to enter the chat, which you can do by clicking chat at the bottom of your screen, and to list the names of those who you wish for us to keep before us as we pray together. The other thing I'd like to mention as those names begin to come in is that we have asked another member of our staff to join us in this video. Amber Harder is our clergy assistant. She is the one who answers the phones for us, keeps us on schedule, keeps us on track, and does about a million other things for us on a daily basis. But she also happened to study guitar very extensively in college, and wanted to be a part of this prayer for healing for us all. So Amber, we are very pleased to have this be your IHC debut. And while we think of those in our community, especially the names of the following and those that you'll list in the chat for us now, we think of Cindy Merrill, of Debbie Jack, Marjorie Gullett, of Mike Sullivan, and of Bill Lee. In their search for healing and strength, we hope that these prayers find their way to them and to all who love them, in addition to the following: John Pine, Jay Slavin, Nancy Bonham, Dennis Gelbart, Ruth Weisberg, Bonnie Bennett, Joanne Hamill, Javi Lev Goldstein, Eileen Goldberg, Jeff Weissman, Roger Tomalin, Stacy Oliveira, Marilyn Kruger, Ralph Lacasio, Robert Koreski, Harvey Katz, David Mendelson. May each of them give us strength.
In Psalm 126, we read, "Those who sow in tears will reap in joy." Or in Hebrew, "Hazorim bedima, berina yiktzoru." We know that this has been a time filled with fear and anxiety for so many of us.
We also know that as we reach out to one another in these days of isolation, when we are able to create community together, each one of those efforts is like a seed sown into the ground that might bear future fruit for us all.
Those who sow in tears will reap in joy, will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy, will reap in joy. Our souls who sow in tears will reap in joy. Will reap in joy.
May these prayers take us into a beautiful Shabbat and into a wonderful week where we still feel connected to each other. Shabbat Shalom to all of you. It is wonderful to share these moments with you. in recent days, we have started to edit our confirmation class statements of belief. Each of our 10th graders, as part of the leadership of our Shavuot service, will take a moment to share with us what they think of this heritage that we are handing to them. It's certainly not the case that our high schoolers are prepared to take the reins of leadership from us, not just yet. A few more years or a few decades of experience might help. But just as we speak of the responsibility of each bar and bat mitzvah to consider what Judaism means to them, we adults should pay close attention when confirmation stands proudly on what will likely be a Zoom projected bima, and as they declare, "Here's what I think of this Jewish education that I've received so far." Their words represent the best that we have offered them and the way in which our legacy will be embodied long after we are gone. One student in particular made a comment that has stuck with me. They wrote about how Judaism presents an escape from reality. I found it so intriguing to consider what they might have meant. Does the Judaism that we teach our students not seem relevant, perhaps, in their modern day concerns? Or are they suggesting that Judaism provides comfort and support so that they might deal with that other world? Might they have meant to suggest that they felt little connection or that they felt a strong and deep connection? How many of us would make the same statement? Do we believe that Judaism is an escape from reality? I would expect that our opinions would largely depend on what we mean by that term. Because Judaism does, in fact, present an alternative reality. Judaism dreams of a world that looks very different from the world that we inhabit. All of our text asks a single question: is it possible to reimagine society so that we might place human dignity at the center as the most important building block, not only for us, but for everyone, for all people? Can we envision that world in which hunger and homelessness simply don't exist? Sometimes I worry that we do not or cannot even dream of that world today. Do we still long for a world in which environmental concerns triumph over financial interest and personal gain, where we celebrate those things that make us unique and different, and that we provide equally for all? Perhaps being an escape from our reality is not such a bad thing. While I'm sure that the response I'm likely to get from my student who I asked what they meant is that Judaism is an escape from reality, and that Judaism might be naive at best, inconsequential at worst. But I think of my mentor, the late Rabbi Richard Levy, Dean of the Rabbinical School at Hebrew Union College, who taught me by his example that it is possible to live this life of service to others, to emphasize kindness over intellect, although he was a prime example of both of those qualities, that we might prioritize compassion before money. In fact, what he taught me is that true intellect only flows through kindness, that financial stability for us, for our beloved community, it only exists when we practice compassion first. Our world, it is utterly saturated with suffering. Human dignity is trampled in every corner of the globe. It is also in our own backyard. God can often seem absent or indifferent or even non-existent. But the richness of our Judaism transcends what might be a high school answer. It asks us to look deeper at what is possible in this world. Judaism demands that we put all of our best weapons on the front line as we employ them against this world. And in a word, our greatest weapon is Shabbat. When God tells Moses how to build the Mishkan, that traveling sanctuary in the wilderness, God concludes those directions by invoking Shabbat. God writes, Nevertheless, you must keep my Sabbaths, for this is the sign between me and you throughout the ages. And this week in our Torah portion, Moses makes the same connection. You shall keep God's Shabbat as a way to honor God's sanctuary. The sanctuary, whether we're talking about our own building or that ancient tent that our ancestors carried with them through the desert. It is imagined as this place of calm, an oasis, place of beauty and order in a world full of chaos and danger and destruction. And what the sanctuary is for us in place, in space, Shabbat is for us in time. It is a moment of peace, of beauty, and of calm. Shabbat literally is this alternative world. It is an island of time that is designed to help us recharge and restore, and ultimately to dream of one day bringing that reality to our everyday life. This is why we are commanded not to work on the Sabbath. It is not because our rest is important to God, but rather because we are imagining ourselves in a world where no work is necessary, where everything has already been achieved and there is nothing left to do. For 6 days a week, we labor and we strive and we push and we generate as we try to move forward this work of humanity. And on Shabbat, all that work comes to rest because it is complete, as God's work was completed on the seventh day. This is also why we call Shabbat 1/60th of the world to come, that vision of a messianic age, a perfected world, a world of peace. In a midrash, the rabbis imagine this conversation between the Jewish people and God. And Israel says, Master of the world, if we observe all these commandments, what will be our reward? And God says to them, your reward is the world to come. And they reply, Master of the world, show us what it looks like. And God responds, it is Shabbat. Shabbat is the tiniest fragment of a perfect world at peace. The world to come is a world that is entirely Shabbat. The fundamental Jewish belief is that by dipping our toe into this vision of perfection each week, that we might maintain enough distance from the injustices of this world that we learn not to accept them as inevitable, that we remind ourselves of what is possible, that we enable ourselves to imagine a world in which dignity for all is real, and that all experience God's presence as one, as this unifying force. Shabbat challenges us to ask ourselves, what have I done this week, personally, in my own life, in my own family, in my own relationships, that might bring that dream closer to fulfillment? My friend and colleague, Rabbi Shai Held, suggests that perhaps the most radical of all the traditional Shabbat observances, one that we are, quite honestly, almost forced to observe, despite ourselves in this quarantine, is the insistence that we not handle money on Shabbat. He writes, on Shabbat, both the richest of the rich and the poorest of the poor leave their wallets at home. The billionaire tycoon and the poor gas station attendant are totally equal. On Shabbat, and in the ideal future it represents, we are equal. So Shabbat offers us this other world that we might choose to live in. And even though many of us reject a traditional observance of Shabbat, we can still connect to this world just as surely, perhaps even more powerfully. Maybe, just maybe, this quarantine gives us a slightly larger glimpse into the magic of Shabbat observance. Maybe we now feel this need to take a rest from screens, or we take more time now to connect to nature, or to exercise, or take care of ourselves in some other way. Maybe we do leave our wallets at home and consider who we are without them. I don't know about you, but I enjoy this taste of the world to come every week on Shabbat. The clergy team works every Shabbat. It is a hazard of our jobs. But Shabbat still comes to life when we share with you the joy, the beauty of prayer and music and tradition. Maybe it is an escape from reality. But these days, I am grateful for a Shabbat of escape, a Shabbat of community, a Shabbat of vision, a Shabbat of peace. May it be so for all of us. Shabbat Shalom. I am thrilled to welcome the Freeman Dorson family. I think are here, and we'll unmute them and offer words of welcome. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi, and Shabbat Shalom, my friends. I am the sole representative of the family, except for my brother and sister-in-law are on tonight, so that's lovely. Yasher Koach, that was a wonderful sermon, and it was what was in my mind too, but not as poetically, so thank you. Thank you to the amazingly therapeutic and soothing music tonight. Thank you to our gifted musicians, Rabbi Brett, Cantor Aviva, Tammy Christopher, and Rabbi Scott. We really so appreciate what you bring to our Shabbat. I'm Patty Freeman Dorson, and this is my last welcome as a member of the IHC board. It has been a profound honor to serve our extraordinary community in sacred partnership with all of you for 2 full terms, including 2 years as president of the congregation. On Sunday, 5 new board members will be presented for election at the annual meeting. I hope you will give them and all of our continuing members your best wishes and good ideas. In addition, please join me in thanking our outgoing president, Mark Katz, for his 2 years of service, the last several months of which have been beyond unforeseen. And please welcome our incoming president, Eloise Paul, whose task during this strange and challenging time is already formidable. During this uncertain time, we all need each other's support, so please give yours and positive thoughts to Elle in the days ahead. It is said, as the Rabbi said, that even more than Israel has kept Shabbat, Shabbat has kept Israel. And boy, has this been true for the last several months. After a week of anxiety, online meetings, homeschooling, chaos in the news cycle, and on and on and on, it is clear from the joy on your faces and that the peace and release of Shabbat is so needed and appreciated. It might seem odd, but I've kind of grown fond of this new gathering space. First, it is wonderful to see your faces instead of the back of your heads. And as we welcome the Shabbat bride into our Zoomtuary, there is a sweetness and intimacy of seeing everyone in our own homes, lit by the glow of the candles and the sweetness of the wine. To be honest, I get a little verklempt, emotional each week, though I'm far enough away from the camera that I hope you can't see my tears or my gray hair. So thank you for indulging me. And as I end with a poem I found on the website ritualwell.org by Tamar Stern entitled Your Radiant Face. Plunged into a season of plague and grief, unable to leave the house, unable to touch you, how much I count on seeing your face first flicker, then appear out of the computer screen's darkness. How much I count on your countenance, on your lively features, your sparkling eyes, the curve of your smile, the warmth of your gaze. Your face like Moses' face when he returned from encountering the divine, luminous, radiant, shining. Once again, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Patty, and thank you for that. Yeah, I'm watching the comments come up. Thank you for those beautiful words, for bringing us into this moment. And so I'd like now to invite us to turn our thoughts to those in our community who have died in recent days or in this season, in past years. We are together in a period of Shiva and Shloshim, the 7 days and the 30 days of mourning for Mark Schmutzler, James Mitchell, Robert Silverstein, Jerome Abrams, Christopher Hargis, Mark Fox, Jerry Arfa, Lawrence Hertzman, Elsie Siegel, Albert Miller, Bernie Green, and Deke Halderan. We additionally mark the yahrzeit, the anniversary of the death of Miriam Ackerman, Harry Ansel, Hugo Kahn, Robert Cantor, Jacob Castle, Gertrude Cohen, Rose Cohen, Lena Cohen, Edna Cohen, Hannah Cohen, Lucinda Davis, Jenny Diamond, Ida Drucker, Hilda First, Milton Gelman, Ben Gittleson, Saul Gold, Morris Gold, Julius Goldberg, Rose Goldberg, Simon Goldsmith, Gertrude Goldstein, Michael Goldstein, Hortense Goodman, Ava Greenberg, Rudy Grumbacher, Sarah Gumbiner, Abe Huntman, Jacqueline Heilbronn, Rosalind Helford, Florence Heimson, Harry Jacobs, Rose Katz, Leonard Coppola, Harry Langman, Stephen Leader, Charles Logan, Harry Loganofsky, Gerald Mahalowitz, Geraldine Mansbach, James McCown, David Mintz, Fanny Norris, Hilda Rockmore, Betty Rothbard, Joseph Shackett, Philip Schiff, Stephen Schreibman, Emily Silver, Francis Simon, Harold Stadler, Adele Stein, Melvin Stern, Priscilla Stern, Eleanor Tash, John Tysius, Sadie Verveer, Sam Verveer, and Abe Valensky. And if you are thinking of anyone and you'd like to add their name, I'd like to share their name. If you can add their names to the chat, I'll read them aloud as they come up. My apologies, I want to offer their names in a loving way, and my apologies if I mispronounce any names. We are also thinking of Alan Shiner, Margaret Marcone, Pete Peterson, Chip Launer. And we hold all these people in our hearts. So we offer these words of mourning, the traditional words of the mourner's Kaddish. Itgadal v'itgadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divarach chiyutei ve'amlich malchutei, v'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael. V'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach leolam olmei maya, yitbarach, v'ishtabach v'itpa'ar v'itromam v'itnaseh. V'itadar v'italev v'talal shemei dekudesha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiram be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemayim, v'chaim alenu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. V'aseh shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, alenu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. And to bring in all who mourn in our world, we add the words v'al kol yoshvei tevel. Amen.
Well, we are so grateful to have had your company this evening, and we thought we would close this evening with a peaceful, meditative song, a nice way to say good night and wish you all the best for a wonderful week. So please join us. Ozi vezimratia vaihili lishua. Ozi vezimratia vaihili lishua. Ozi bezimratia occupational hazard of having a mom as a cantor, right? Benjamin had a little chuckle when someone said Ben's a cantor in the making. I would love to invite you to please get your challah ready. If you do have a challah with you, oh, should we show them? Oh my goodness. And I certainly can't take credit for baking this one, but it is beautiful nonetheless and will nourish us and our souls as we head into another week. May we all find time to recharge, and don't forget to take a deep breath of Ruach Elohim, the wind of God, from time to time. We need it. Ready? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. From our family to yours, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom to all of you. And I hope that everyone will take a minute if we can have a little bit of organized chaos. The benefit of doing this on Zoom is that everyone can see one another. And so we're just going to allow this to be a little chaos. Thank you to our staff for helping us coordinate all of the videos and the chat rooms and the Zoom and everything. By the way, Andy suggests that we're calling this Zervices from now on, which particularly I am fond of. But Shabbat Shalom to you all.
Shalom.
And credit to services goes to Michael, doesn't it?
Hello, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Oh, Mike, that was good.
Your artwork.
Shabbat Shalom, Dr. Gary.
Shalom.
Hey, Sheila. Shabbat Shalom, Mary. Patty, thank you for your nice words.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom to Roberta's dog. Looks very cute.
Nice to
Shabbat
Shalom,
Shalom.
Andy. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom to all of you. Hello, Juliet. We miss your voice. Hi.
Here I am.
And Sheila and Joyce. I see so many. The Dormans are there. Hello. Cohen, the
Juliet, so
star
nice to
from
see you.
the article. Beautiful article.
Jennifer Cohen.
A bit ago. Hello, and Andy Smith. Julie, hello. Lynn, hi, Shabbat Shalom to you. Hello, Ruth. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you for your note. I will. I absolutely will.
Hermans.
Scott.
Wonderful to see you all. Works, hello. Elizabeth is there.
I am here.
Goodness.
Hey, Ruth. Miss
Scott,
Judy,
I hope
thank you
the
for joining us this morning.
Harriet, you're still there.
Everyone's doing okay. Quarantine. We still have volunteers who are willing to help. So please be in touch with us if there's anything to do. Hello, Grandma Donna. You brought a challah this time. That's good. Inspiration for our challah building right there. Carol, Shabbat Shalom. Good to see you all. There, be safe. See you next week. Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.